Okay, I see another question by Anastop. It says, what do you think about a career for an undergraduate student in data science? Let me give you an example. When we interviewed people last year, we would give them a data challenge. By a data challenge, I mean we give them a data set and we ask them to complete a certain task over 3 days. In that case, it was a data set of loans, of loan performance, such as people taking money out. And then the challenge was to predict the repayment of those loans, which loans would get repaid and which loans would not get repaid. And what some participants did, they would train a model and they give me very beautiful code and they make a very nice write-up on several pages. But the answer was that the model has 99% accuracy. Means they would claim that they completed the challenge and they're able to tell with 99% accuracy whether someone will repay the money that you give them in the future. They can tell it right now, as if they had a crystal ball that tells them the future exactly. Of course, this is absurd, and you cannot come close to 99% in the real world. But many of the people who took our challenge, they did not see it. They just said, oh, 99% is the answer, and they did not question it, this apparently absurd conclusion. And this is the kind of people we did not want to hire, because even though they may be doing the right thing and calling the right libraries, but then they're making a conclusion that is completely nonsensical. So it's hard to quantify, but we were definitely looking for some common sense in how you interpret the results of applying the models. And you can certainly get it from experience. My framework is always that you need 3 things, which is programming, math, and product sense or business acumen. Here, one part is just communication skills, which is what I teach nowadays. And the best way to have great communication skills is to talk to more people, and once again, talk to more people and talk to more people. And if it were not for the coronavirus, I would say go meet people and meet all kinds of people who are not programmers and have friends who are not programmers. And if there is a party after the virus is gone, you go to the party or you go to different events or you go to birthdays and you get a better sense about people. And that will help your work in general, because if you only code and you only talk to programmers, you will be very difficult to work with, and you will have to compensate by having a much higher technical skill. So if you can become more social instead, then you will get away with being less competent, and people give you second and third and fourth chances, because everyone likes fun, friendly, social people. And on that note, you can also work on your speech. If you do it in English, work on your English skills, work on your writing, make it clear, make it concise, make it persuasive, write more, speak more, give talks at your local organization, write some blog posts, do all those things. Which types of projects can help us? A lot. I was a little more lucky or less lucky, depends how you look at it. When I was growing up, there was no this ecosystem of useful tools and no internet. So if I needed something, I would just program it myself. If I needed a calculator, I would program a calculator. And if I needed a program to serve as a dictionary to store translations between English and Russian words, I would code that myself. And if I wanted a cool game, I would code the game, because there are not so many games available. While it's less of a strategy nowadays, you can still use it. You come up with some cool application, something you need, as I said, sorting your email, or another task. Maybe you want a bot that will automatically look for concert tickets on the internet, or you want to buy some cryptocurrency and you want to see how the prices change over time. Just invent some way how coding or data science can make your life better, or how it can make somebody else's life better, and then code it and make it work and make real people use it. And this will teach you a lot if you actually create something that is useful, as opposed to just taking some data set and training some model, and then you don't know what to do with the result of this model because nobody cares about this data or whatever you are trying to achieve with your model. How do I prepare for a data scientist interview? So there is the point of how do I prepare in general, and then there is the point of how do I prepare for a particular company. And for a particular company, let me start with this one. It's very simple. You have to learn everything about the company. So if you interview with Facebook, you go and you learn everything about Facebook. And this applies to, of course, any role, not just data science. You Google all the news about Facebook. You see if there are any lawsuits about them. They just lost a lot of money or they made a lot of money. If there is anything interesting, they acquired some other company. If you see Mark Zuckerberg speaking at some event about something, you learn it all, because later it may come up during an interview, and if you can talk about it, then it will be really good, because it will feel like you are one of them, you are following the same things, and that you will fit in the company culture. So definitely always take the time to know about the company you are interviewing with. In fact, you can take it further and you can brainstorm. Let's say you have an interview with Facebook and you really want to maximize your chances. You can think, what data science does Facebook have? What are their tasks? And you can ask around or just think and make a list. Facebook probably, they have to recommend people to who may be your friends. I think they do that, or at least LinkedIn does it. They have to do the feed. They have to arrange the order in the feed. Then they have the algorithm for the ads. Who do they show the ad to? Then they have to classify the content, and there is undesirable content that they want to flag or remove. There are all kinds of algorithms and data science tasks. And once you come up with those, think, how do you solve them? For example, you came up with a question, how do I decide on the feed? And then you think about it, and then you come up with a solution and discuss it with other people. And then what will happen, you go to the interview and they will ask you something similar. They will say, oh, we have this problem, we wanted to improve our feed, here is the task. And if you have already thought about it, then you have a higher chance of giving a good answer. Even if you don't know the question in advance, there are only so many common things that Facebook does. You can just think about everything in advance, about every possible data science problem, and prepare how you would solve it. Or even better, come up with your own novel idea. Let's say they ask you during an interview or something about their feed, and you say, hey, I have a better idea. I think we can add the neural network here and boost the trees there, and we can really improve the feed by making it much smarter than it currently is. And that is excellent if you have your own ideas that are thoughtful and that are well researched. That will make an even better impression. So the more you prepare for a particular company, thinking through their business model, their tasks, why they're hiring you, the better, that's for sure. And okay, so I also wanted to bring up programming competitions. I know when I moved to America, a lot of people, and I talked about ACM ICPC because I was a world champion myself. So I was curious how are programming competitions in America, in United States. And a lot of people surprised me because they would do this cost-benefit analysis. They would be like, does it make sense for me to participate in programming competitions, or should I focus on getting an internship, or should I focus more on studying? And people were really logical about it, which makes sense to me now. But on the other side, what happened is that those people did not get good at anything because they were analyzing it too much. When we participated in programming competitions, we were not very rational about it. We were not thinking, does it make sense for us to get a job? Will it help our future? I literally had zero thought about it. And we were just solving problems because we thought that's what we did. It was just part of our identity that we did naturally. And I know not everyone can afford this kind of mindset if you really need money as soon as possible. But it's a real mindset when you do something for the long term and you are not going to quit if it doesn't work out. You just keep going and you keep going and you keep going. And programming competitions are really good for interviews, that's for sure. And they do give you a good degree of fluency with coding. That's also true. So while there are other skills, it's definitely a solid direction. And programming competitions do teach you very solid and very useful skills, provided that you get good results from them, provided that you achieve a good level in those competitions, which can be sometimes hard if you are just doing it on your own. And the main problem with people doing it on their own is they have a low standard. People would participate in a contest and they would solve 2 problems out of 10, and they will think, well, I did okay because I'm not a pro, I'm not an expert, but they're not asking, how do I solve 3 problems in this contest? How do I solve 7 problems? They're not asking this question, but you should. When you see people who are doing better than you, just like in this event, you should ask them, what did you do? What did you do differently? How did you get better? And do not get satisfied if they just tell you it's talent, or if people tell you it's hard work, or if people tell you any other of those nonsensical explanations. There are always specific things you can do differently to get better. And whether or not people can articulate it, you can always try to imitate what more successful people do, and then you will get similar results after trying it for long enough. So the summary of this idea is, if you try for programming competitions, or you try going for a really solid project, or you take any other approach of, say, getting good results at math, try to get to a good level. Do not set a standard that is too low for you. You have to be setting a higher standard than where you currently are. And there are many techniques. You can set goals and write it on paper. You can set a goal that a year from now, I want to get a 3rd place in this competition. Or you can set a goal saying, a year from now, I want a GitHub repo with 100 stars. And you write it on paper and you sign the paper. And it doesn't matter that you don't know how to get there, but you set a goal anyway, and then you start working. And that works 10 times better than not setting a goal and just hoping you will get better naturally. Because then you get distracted by all the different things you can be doing. But as soon as you pick some direction, then you will get better much more quickly. Any other questions?